And then somebody already asked for the recording of yesterday. All that recording is already, the replays are already available. They're not available to the public, but they're available to everybody who is on this call. So it's already posted on the Telegram. I know that many of us, including me, we are new to Telegram. We don't use that, but I think we are trying it out as a means of communicating and broadcasting without some of the challenges, of WhatsApp, because in a channel you only broadcast and people can respond, and then people won't start pasting things and forwarding things and all that are not relevant to what we're dealing with. We are serious people here. And then also we're trying out Telegram because I'm going to go on the radio, that would cover the rest of the entire country. And it's going to be a daily program. And we want to explore channels that we can use to help people a little bit more. So that's why we're exploring Telegram. So please go there, acquaint yourself with that Telegram channel, because all the things that we're doing are pasted there, and all the instructions and the information that you need are posted there. And then you can also turn on the notification so that when something drops there, you will be able to see that. So to the person who was asking for the replay of yesterday and then the replay of the first day are already there. So you can always access them. Okay, so, but before we go on to that, we are going to go back to our breakout rooms. And then what we're going to do today is, again, group learning and sharing, because I think from your sharing, other people can get some ideas on how they can implement what we are doing. And so you are going to be automatically put in rooms, and please go to those breakout rooms and participate. It is really, really important that you join the breakout room and participate. So I'm going to launch it right now, and then we'll be spending some 10, 12 minutes in your breakout room, so everyone get a chance to share, what's going on. Because what I've discovered with learning and changing, especially when we are adults, is that when we share what we're learning and what we are doing about it, it seems to stick a little bit more than when we don't. So make sure you share, and there's somebody there who might actually benefit a lot more than listening to me from what you're sharing and how you're applying what you have shared. So in your breakout room, what stood out for you, or what are the things that stand out for you, that have stood out for you in the past 2 days, okay? And then how are you already implementing them, or how do you intend to make that actionable? I hope that is very clear. All right, so go to your rooms, and then I will see you in another 10 minutes, okay? Okay, so I'm not part of your room. So if this is a room, you need to get started, all right? Because your time is already running. So all of you in this room, Charles, Timothy, Pauline, Sylvia, So get started.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm Timothy Okuta, and I think I'll just share my thoughts on what has stood out for me so far, and a lot of things. I think I'll be struggling with constraining myself now because I've been blown away these past days.
He asked us, how many alerts do you get? How many credit alerts do you get in a 24-hour? And I actually sat down and started thinking about it. And I think it was really an eye-opening time for me. I had to analyze before I could answer it. Even the answer I gave there later on, I did the final because I thought about it over and over again. I noticed that I even gave a wrong answer, but it was really an eye opener. The need that if I must be financially free, I must generate more income, have more coming in than what I am expending. I think that's just about that. Then when he was talking about soul prosperity, sometimes we don't really attach that aspect of our life to money, as in we don't, that when he was talking to us about making sure that your soul prospers and all that, it also made a lot of sense to me. Thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think that's actually the bulk of what I picked from yesterday's session as well. I was privileged to be a part of the first and the second sessions with Mr. Obo. I'll just pick on yesterday's own as well. Yes, that question: how many alerts do you get in a day? Was very striking because mine was actually zero. Actually zero, and it was quite embarrassing because there is a lot one can do so trying to figure out, which is part of my take home assignment from this challenge, to create ways that would ensure that I receive at
Glory, are you there? Okay, I think Glory has a bit of
the three money problems. The root of the money problems, talking about so poverty, lack of financial literacy, and then the third one, I actually started thinking about that a lot, and it spurred me to begin to invest in myself. I started being conscious about giving more and being more liberal to people, understand, and trying to go and upgrade myself, trying to improve my financial literacy. And I also went further to get some soft skill which I've been procrastinating on, just all to achieve the purpose of this conference. It has really been amazing for me, actually. Thank you.
Wow, that's so amazing. So many achievements within a couple of these 2 days. Chizomba, you wrote something. Should we? Let's make it brief. Oh, so sorry about that. So Chizomba, tell us, how was yours the past 2 days?
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
These past 2 days has been an eye-opening. Okay. My own aha moment is in finding out the root cause of not being in abundance, and also jettisoning the belief that there is scarcity all the time. So the way I started building on this abundance is by getting more literate financially, especially on the aspect of what I am working on now and being focused on it. So it has got me thinking that I need to focus and stop procrastinating.
And it was 0 for me, you know. One thing that thing happened to me, it just opened up my mind and control it. If I decide it should be daily, then it will have to be daily. And so two more things it provoked from me. Number one, I just came to the awareness that I have not touched my potentials at all. My creative potential, I discovered I have not even touched it. I'm already realizing that the way I am, I can generate at least 100 different ways that up to 100 streams of income. I have that capacity. Okay. So my action plan was to give more investment of time to thinking. I've already started it. Thinking and then learning. Thinking and learning. I found out that all these things lies within the place of thinking and learning. So that's my own. The action plan has been thinking, learning, thinking, learning, thinking, learning, and meditating. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We're grateful. Olive, can we hear from you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, very clear.
Okay. Yes, for me, the past 2 days have been amazing. The one thing that really stood out to me was the fact that abundance is in seed form. It's a seed. I never ever thought about it that way. And it reminds me of that scripture that says the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed, which is the smallest of all seeds. But when you put it in the ground, it grows and it becomes a mighty tree. And every bird.
Just so it's my first time to attend this kind of training, and a lot stood out for me. One thing that is close to my heart is when the facilitator talked about truth telling as a starting point for transformation. And it's something I've held on for a long time. And sometimes I feel, well, sometimes I lose some things for, standing or telling the truth. And sometimes I miss some opportunity because I have to tell the truth. And now that I see that it's a starting point for transformation, then it's something I must, by all means, continue to hold on to. Then talking about this a point, it talked about finance, how to rate yourself, how you are doing financially. I never thought of, okay, what if I stop working today? How many more days or how many more months will I be able to sustain myself and my family? Then that got me to start thinking, even my kids now, soon they will be going to secondary school, and looking at the cost of secondary school, I was asking myself, so with this salary, even if they had to double my salary and all my kids are in secondary school, will I be able to continue to pay their school fees when I should, and pay the house rent and other major expenses? So that got me thinking that I really need to make some changes in my life, because even if the salary is doubled, which will not happen in 20 years' time, based on normal 5%, 10% increase that we get, it will still not be able to solve the problem. So it's time to do something differently. Yeah. And so yesterday we talked about seeds and the need for us to, just like said now.
Hello,
Hi,
can
good
you hear me,
evening.
please? Good
Yeah, we
evening,
can hear you. Go ahead.
everyone.
Yes, I can hear you.
Go
Can hear you,
ahead.
please.
Okay, so it's Yvonne. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So I would say that I've had a money mind shift for the last 2 days. But again, it's not that I don't know these things. It's just some of them, the implementing them is always like a big issue for me. For example, the part of having to access your daily alerts. Okay, so for me, I started a store where I wanted to have some sort of daily income come in. And unfortunately, there was a construction work done in that area, and they destroyed the shop and then every other thing. So that just got me discouraged that, like, look at me, I'm trying to even help myself by looking for something that can give me daily money, and the government is not even helping me. So I just like put it off. And I think since that time, I've just had this mindset of, well, let me just be managing what I have, Jerry. As long as I can eat, take care of my child, we are not starving, I think I'm okay. But I also believe that from what Coach Ogbo has said so far, that is not bad to want a better life or want something better than where you are right now. Because he gave an example of his own self, and looking at how he was earning, receiving alerts only 12 times in a year. That one, I've never even thought about that way. So I am a salary earner, and I also run my own business. Combined with the things that I do, I cannot still say that I have enough resources to last me for a month. So I still find myself looking for, I still find myself seeing that money is so scarce and so far from me. So I'm grateful for the mindset shift.
I don't know. Okay.
Okay, so welcome back, everyone. All right, so I would like to take a couple of sharings. If you want to give 1 or 2 highlights from your group, please raise your hand and then you can unmute. I will recognize you and then you can unmute and speak. Yeah, if you want to share from the insights in your room. Okay, who wants to go first? So there were 10 rooms. All right. Okay, so Michael, let's start with you. Please unmute and share. Michael, go ahead and unmute.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Okay. All right. Just one.
Okay, in my in my group, we talked about, we shared some things, and one of the things that we share is the fact that lack is life. There is nothing like lack anywhere. This is what a person shared from her lesson from the one of the event, that lack doesn't exist, so to speak, is a lie. All right. And also the fact that abundance is the language of the universe, that it hits so differently. I began to ask myself, so the universe has so much in stock for me. So it just, my mind have not been able to, accept it and begin to, work in that dimension. So, I'm changing my mindset to accept the truth that the universe, the language of the universe is abundance. And for me, is now my consistent thought, belief and ideology. And lastly, someone mentioned that, he's trying to think about how to expand his income, about daily alerts and not having to earn just 12 months, 12 alerts, 12 months. We've not really talked about it the way, like, it became so real to us that we earn only 12 alerts in a year. And it can be so disturbing. It's disturbing already. And we're trying to think about how we can explore our options and begin to increase our alert and then the inflow of money to us. Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. Okay. So Camilla, all right. Thank you, Michael. You can drop your hand. Yes, Camilla, please.
Yes, thank you. I think I'll start with my aha moment from our first day. And my aha moment was when you spoke about the language of the universe being abundance, and the examples you used were so profound. And, you just had to stop and think. And for me, the realization was that as much as I would perhaps hate to admit it, I was already ingrained and schooled in the language of scarcity, which I have to unlearn, as you rightly put it. So that for me was really something else, which was a great takeaway, was a passing comment you made about the fact that you didn't have television in your home, and that televisions are the consumer items of the poor who just sit there, and consuming a lot of the information and whatever is dished out on television. And that tied for me with when I was answering the third question from day one, which was what beliefs, practices, habits, traditions, and so must you let go. And I realized that even though television is there, and I'm not very active in terms of watching television, I'm nevertheless very busy sometimes with subliminal distractions from social media. You find yourself scrolling through one social media platform the other for an hour could go by very easily.
Yeah.
And of course, if I take what I learned from the first day, fortunately yesterday, as I said, I was caught off track by traveling. You realize that a lot of productive time could be spent doing things, a lot of good time could be spent doing productive things rather than just scrolling through social media. So for now, I think those are the things I'd like to highlight.
Awesome. Thank you. And of course, if you look behind me, you see, this is a section, probably like, this is probably like 1/5 of my library. And I don't, these things, my children and wife would tell you, they are not just here for decoration. I read them and I spend time picking them. Each time I travel to the US, because sometimes it's quite expensive ordering books from Amazon here, even though I do that, when I really see like a book, I have to. But usually when I go to the US, I do order lots of books, and then I go to some of these thrift stores and used bookstores, because those used bookstores have amazing. Many of these came from used bookstores in different places I've been, because I have found out that there is nothing that you want to accomplish on this planet that somebody hasn't written about. In fact, this little book I have right here, I've read it like, maybe like 5-6 times, okay? And this book was written by, it's an uncommon wealth to wealth, a common way to wealth, There's actually another one I was looking for. I thought it's that one, written by Benjamin Franklin. Okay, but this Common Way to Wealth, written by this gentleman, I forget the year, like early 20th century and all that. Just incredible. And then when I read Benjamin Franklin's book on wealth, something that was written in the 18th century, in the 1750s or thereabout, it amazes me how the same stuff that we are dealing with today, somebody with such wisdom had already written about that. And then many of the aphorisms and sayings that we use today actually came from Benjamin Franklin, from that little book, Paul Richards says. And so when we say early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise, that was from that guy. A stitch in time saves 9. And then another thing that shocked me was that in 1750s, when that book was written, Franklin was mentioning something about inflation. And he talked about how people were complaining that the price of bread had gone up and that they will never eat bread again. That was in 1753. So there's nothing you are going through that has not been written about. Sometimes I open a book like the one I was reading in the air today. Just one little book somebody recommended that is on copywriting and sales messages, just very short, very short messages. Incredible. So there's nothing, yeah, you're right, Eberichi, nothing new under the sun. And so you can unpack so much from books that television would never, ever do for you. So Kamala, I'm glad you shared that. And I really think we need to take books seriously. Okay, it's good to read the PDFs and all that online, the ebooks, but look, nothing like feeling the pages of physical books, and especially some of these books written like 100 years ago. I know that I have so many of them, rare collections I find from used bookstores. They're amazing. It's amazing. Whatever you are dealing with in business has been written about before. And the problem with the television is that it gives you canned content. Somebody already canned these things, processed for you, and just gave you to consume. But you see, when you read books, it engages your brain cells because you're forming those images yourself. You're becoming more creative than allowing somebody to form those images for you in movies and TV and things like that. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And I would like to encourage everybody here, please, to take books seriously, to take reading seriously. If you give yourself 1 hour a day, you can actually start with 15 minutes a day. I guarantee you that it will change your life. This was how one of my mentors and coaches also challenged me. It was in 2019 or late 2018. He said, if you broadcast, I attended his event, like this. He said, if you broadcast, send out content, useful content every single day, he said your income would double or triple or 10x within 1 year. And he said we should come back and tell him. And I tell you sincerely, there's hardly nobody here who hasn't seen my video somewhere or that. And then on one of the occasions I did this video on NSAS. I was jogging in Ghana, when I just, thought, hey, let me speak to this thing going on in the country right now. And then within a week, that video probably did 15 to 20 million views. But people didn't know. Most people didn't know it was from me because somebody said, I think Darren, who is on this call, actually said, oh, you should have put it on your own Instagram. Because people were asking, who is this guy and all that, where is he? And then some of you here probably saw, if you actually saw that video, that NSAS video, where I was talking about youth 1 and youth 2, and I talked about Pharaoh's cows, lean cows and all that. Can you just say yes? Okay, somebody saw it. All right. So I started doing content like that. And then within 1 year, my income actually tripled, if not more than that. So reading can do that for you. 15 minutes, 20 minutes every day, reading books like the kind of books I have here, and then not just reading, but executing on the ideas, you are going to see a direct result on your income. So throw away your TV, throw away your TV. That thing is a very big problem, you know, but a lot of people don't like me for saying that. Okay, so let's have Kenneth and yeah, Kenneth. So if you keep it brief, we might be able to take like Emmanuel, and who is Johnny M7. Please change it to your name so that I know someone raising hands as Johnny M7. We don't know who that is. Okay. All right. So Kenneth, very briefly.
Okay, yes, I will keep it as short as possible. So we're 5 in my group, and within the time allowed, the 4 of us that were willing to share, shared. So we had from Wamaka, Newman, and OC, then myself. So I would not take what each person said, but I would take what I think stood out from what everybody said. And the first is the need to unlearn a lot of things that we have been stereotyped with, particularly the idea of lack, and understanding that even though we lack something, somebody might be in abundance of that thing we lack. So for us to do the right thing, then we could be in that abundance as well, instead of living in lack. Then the need for knowledge, as was highlighted yesterday, that the need for knowledge, not just ending here with this training, but if we need to build our financial capabilities, really needs to be financially free, then we need a lot of knowledge to be able to go through that. Then also breaking old norms and some maybe some languages that are not helpful. Like you want to buy something or you need to do something, you say, but I don't have the money, or where will I get the money, and all such language. And we could start replacing those with how can I, or what do I need to do to be able to
like that. Okay, just
afford this.
Give us one more.
Okay, the last, okay, the need for seed. Somebody in particular mentioned that after that topic yesterday, he was asking himself what seed he would need to plant today that would be fruitful in the future. So that's something that he has been thinking about.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Kenneth. Okay, Emmanuel, can you unmute and then speak? Kenneth, by the way, I saw a note when I joined your room from OC. Looks like both of you had known each other somewhere. All right, Emmanuel, unmute and speak.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Yeah, go ahead. Just give us.
We're 5 in my group.
Yeah, give us 2 top highlights so that we can take 1 or 2 more before we continue.
Okay, so of all the things we talked about, I think the things that stood out are someone said what stood out to her is that abundance does not like lies. So she's owning up to the stage where she's at, so that she can be able to move forward from there, and she's trying to cut down on distractions. And then another person said what stood out to him is the fact that if the principle is right, but the practice is flawed, don't quit. A principle is key. So even if the practice is flawed, but the principle is right, you have to correct the practice and reinforce your effort.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that, because that's how it works in business. Even in anything, you are doing, as long as a principle, like what I decided to do to open this up. Like I said, I've never done anything this insane, and asking, people to pay 5,000 to spend this time. And of course, I'm sure you know that what you're getting wasn't what you paid. And then I was expecting that, people were going to jump, at it, and that we're going to probably have like 1,000 people in the room. We ended up having 80 something. So, but I'm not going to stop. I'm actually going to intensify that, because I know that the principle is right. and that is deliver value to people upfront. Just bless people, saturate the place with value, and then that is also sowing the seed of abundance. And definitely, there's no way value will not come back to me, and it's not coming back to me as 5,000 naira that you paid, but in so many other ways. So I'm going to, even though just 80 something people signed up for this, and then I did add, I think I paid a total of $421, 420 something dollars, because unfortunately now Facebook, Google, Instagram, none of those places deliver organic content. Like the first time when I was on TV and I was publishing Monday morning meditation every morning, it was not uncommon, to put out content there. And then within one day, I've had like 100 and something people share it. And I've had like 20 people read it, 20,000, or 50,000, 60,000 people read it. But right now, Facebook shows only, like if you post anything, it shows it to just about 1 to 3% of the people who follow you, because they want you to pay money. All right. So I paid, and I'm going to show you later when I talk about the different levers that you can pull to increase your income, exactly what I did. And then the levers I'm going to pull. So I know that the principle is correct, even though the result isn't like what I thought it should be. So I'm not going to say I will stop. Once we finish this, there's another one coming. There's going to be offers, because I also discovered, like I was telling you, that putting out offers out there is one way to get credit alert every day, because like many of you identified, you 12 credit alerts, just ridiculous. It can't sustain you. You need multiple sources of income, and to making multiple offers. They are putting out multiple offers there so that, and then 10,000 naira or 5,000 naira that comes to you every day is far more powerful, because it's cash flow, than 10 million naira that just comes once in a long while and you don't even know when it comes. Okay, but this one is very consistent and allows you to plan. Let's take one more and then we will move on. Chika, let's hear from you. Just make it very brief and then we can go on. Arinze, we'll get a chance to listen to you some other time, but there's a few things to unpack today. Chika. Chika, we can't hear you.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Make it brief.
Okay. In our breakout room, we had series of contributions from everyone that participated. But personally, the one that broke out, the one that really caught me is Patricia raised the issue of contentment, that it could sometimes be a challenge for us when we become somewhat contented over our state of being, and then we don't see the abundance that is in nature. Just like you told us that the universe spells abundance, and contentment wrongly placed can be a reason why someone will be at a particular level and not desiring to make progress. And she emphasized the fact that the reason we need to make progress, to move forward from that position of contentment, is that there are so many people to help. There are so many needs to meet. Absolutely. And so if we stay in a little corner, we will not be able to reach out to all the people we need to reach out to. And so there needs to be that shift from where we are to where God really desires us to be. She made emphasis on the fact that God has a lot of assignments for us as individuals. And if we just have it little, like 12 alerts in a year, we are definitely not going to be able to measure up to the demands that God has for us. And that relates to that for us in the breakout room.
Thank you very much for highlighting that, Chika. So let me make a comment that will shock, like people always sometimes, find my comments very controversial, but many times the things I put out there, you need to do more than surface thinking to understand it. But if you have been born with the capacity over your lifetime to generate $1 billion for the purpose and mission, of course, of the kingdom. And then in your lifetime, you were only able to generate $10 million. And by the way, you guys have noticed I do a lot in dollars. Everything is dollars because Naira doesn't make sense. Don't let anybody deceive you. It doesn't make sense. So now, $10 million, you will live a fairly comfortable life. You will live a fairly comfortable life, and then you might be contented. But the day you die, you're going to give account for that one that you didn't do. So if you have a capacity to deliver a 10 and you stop at 3, see what happened to that gentleman that Christ told us of in the scriptures. He planted his field and had such an incredible harvest. He didn't need to do anything else for the rest of his life. And then he said, "Oh, my soul, be contented, relax, and enjoy the fatness and all that." And that angered God. So many things we call contentment is actually evil and wickedness and selfishness. And then we hide it. And that's the problem again with religion, because they tell you contentment. See, and then that false picture of what they call contentment. Contentment doesn't mean you should remain where you are. If you can grow more, that's not what it means. But that's what, religion tries to tell you, be contented, with what you have. If we have food and drink, like Paul said, let us be contented. And then people just take it that way. But if you read the context of what he was saying, he say, look, if you have because he himself said, I don't count myself. A guy who had accomplished so much, he said he didn't count himself to have arrived, but that he's constantly pressing on if he might attain the level for him. And so that man who said, "Oh, my soul, be contented, enjoy, and just relax. After all, you have everything you need. Why bother again? Why invest more? Why expand the business to Ghana? Why expand what you're doing to South Africa? Good God. And you have the capacity to expand what you're doing right now to Kenya, to South Africa, to Ghana, to Uganda, to different places. And then you just say, anyway, it's okay. The size of my company, after all, we make like $1 million a year. And then I'm employing 50 people, I know that. Let's be contented. You are going to be shocked, on that day, because you're going to give account of the capacity that you were given. Remember the guy too who was given 1 talent and he went and hid it. And then he was required, to account for that. So I'm glad you highlighted that issue of contentment, because contentment can easily lead to laziness and all that, and also selfishness, because you're not making all these things for yourself. Because listen to me, I've told my wife many times, and I tell friends, where I am right now, I do not need to lift a finger to even do this thing I'm doing right now again for the rest of my life, and we are okay. I do not need to lift a finger. I do not need all these things I'm doing. I'm starting a radio program that will be daily, and that I want to reach the whole of this continent on radio, starting with Nigeria, starting 1 radio station at a time. Man, do you know what it is to produce content every single day? I don't need to put myself through that. If it is just for me and my wife, we don't need to. So, and then that's what you call contentment. But that would be terrible. Now, if I don't do it, how are you going to be listening to me? How are you going to be getting this value that you're getting? If I was in my life just focusing on myself, say I'm contented. After I've worked with Shell, I've worked with Chevron, I've worked with Stanford University, I've taught in Lagos Business School, I've done all this. So what again are you looking for? We have a house, a roof under our head. We can move around, we have transport, we have whatever. So why bother? Why start a radio program? Why do all this traveling to help people? Why put up all these sales messages to serve companies and things like that? So let's be very careful, because we can limit abundance with that kind of thinking and that kind of orientation and behavior. All right, I see a couple of things on chat. I get okay. complacency. Yes, that's what Priska, that's true. That's what some people call contentment. All right, somebody asked for a list of recommended books. Okay, I'll think that through, and then I'll send some recommended books based on the things that we're learning and the things you're going to take action on after this. Okay, but let's hit how to increase your income, okay, whether you're an employee or you're a startup or you're an established business. So the first question I want to ask you, I've asked a question like that before on the day one, and then the answers you gave were all right to varying degrees. But this one is a slightly different framing of that question, the first one. This is who determines the amount of money you make every year. This is tricky, but let's not spend too much time on that. It's primarily you, like some of you answered. It's primarily you, okay? Because you can never make more money than you can dimension. You can never make, and you can put that quote down, you can never make more money than you can dimension. Okay, one of my precious friends, you know, the brother dear to my heart, you know, he told me one day he asked his wife, you know, they were just having this thought experiment. And then he gave her, I don't remember how much it was, you know, whether it was 1 billion naira or 2 billion, some amount like that, and said, okay, spend it. And then she started, okay, how? She said, okay, maybe 100 million. Okay, we still have like 1.something billion, 9 billion left. And she says, okay, we will travel. Okay, we will do that. We will buy this and all of that. And according to him, she couldn't spend it. And then some of you think that if you're given 1 billion naira right now that you spend, so it will kill some of you. You see, because if you have not dimensioned, you know, if you've not dimensioned $1 billion, and you say, oh, if you give me $1 billion, I can spend it, it's going to kill you. So you've got to become the kind of person that can handle $1 billion. This is why the abundance is hidden in you. It's not out there. And then it is your unfolding of who you already are, unfolding of that potential, that thing that was already inside you that will continue to release this abundance. And so when I was in the panel of You Win, some of you might remember You Win during Jonathan's presidency, you know, the youth with something innovation, whatever, you know, they were giving the young people, fantastic program. But this gentleman came in and killed it. So one of the horrible things he did, because that thing was actually helping a lot of young people, because people were not only getting the grants to start a business, they were also getting education. You know, they were also getting education, because I know that the EDC of Pan-Atlantic University, the Enterprise Development Center, one of the finest, the best. Some of you here have attended programs in EDC. They were also providing training for those people, because you don't just give people money. If you don't help them with the mindset, they will blow the money and destroy it. So this current guy came and then destroyed it and then spoiled it. But you see, people pitched. I watched hundreds of people pitch businesses to me, to us in the panel. Of course, I was also in the panel of the MTN business plan competition. I was also in the panel of the one that was done by EcoBank. I was in the panel of another one that Diamond Bank used to do. So I have had literally hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses pitched to me here. And then sometimes, you know, people come in there and they're pitching for 10 million. And then you ask them, first of all, they come with projections, like somebody who came with a poultry business. And then he wrote a 2-year projection. And at the 2-year projection, I remember this particular guy, he was projecting 2.3 billion naira. You know, so if we gave him the 10 million, the You Win grant, that into whatever. So it just became very clear that many people who were coming had no idea what they were doing. And so I think what happened was they were just hiring people to put together business plans for them. So sometimes we saw the business plans were exactly the same, but they just had different names and different companies and all that. So I suspected that there was somebody, some smart guy, who was doing all those things for the people. Now, the reason I tell that story is if you haven't handled 10,000 naira successfully, if you haven't made 5,000 naira, handled 10,000 naira and turned 10,000 naira into 12,000. If you haven't handled 100,000 naira and turned 100,000 naira into 150,000, if they give you 10 million naira or 1 billion, you will destroy it. So you can make more money than you can dimension. So in some essence, yeah, you are the primary person that determines the amount of money you make every year. And then you, if you're a business owner, often, you see, I work with many business owners, I work with many business leaders, and often the business leader, the business owner is the bottleneck in his own business or in her own business. Because your business can never grow beyond your mentality. And that's why it's so critical that you develop yourself, because it is in developing yourself that your business grows. But having said that, it is people, customers, who determine the amount of money that you make every year. It's customers. So if you're employed, your employer is your customer. If you're working for University of Lagos is your customer, because you're essential. If you're working for a hospital or you're working for a bank, your employer is your customer, because you are there because you have a value that you're selling. It's just that you're selling to one customer who gives you 12 alerts in the year. This thing I'm telling you is critical, is powerful, because remember I told you when we were looking at the fundamentals of money yesterday, I said all the money in this universe, all the money you'll ever make is in somebody's pocket, it's in somebody's wallet. And so when you have that in mind, consider that we have 8 billion people on the planet, right now. I think this is 7.9 or something, but some of these are approximations. So there are 8 billion people in the world today. Now, I want you to pause and reflect. How many people out of these 8 billion people in the world actually know you and know about you? I'd like to see some responses in the chat. Take a minute or two. Okay? Take a minute or two. I want you to think. Count the number of people you think know you. Just count. Put it in the chat. How many people know you and know about you right now? Everybody do that and tap in the chat. So I'm going to pause this a little bit and then take a look at the chat. How many people do you imagine, calculate, know you, know about you? Okay, count your family, count your co-workers, count even the people in your social media follow and fans, count all those. Okay. All right, I want to see some numbers. All right, so 3,951, 2,000 people, 5,000, 50,000, 1,000 and below. Keep going, keep going. I want to hear from everybody. 20,000, okay, 1 million. Sylvia says 1 million people. Okay, less than 3,000, 1,000. So by the time you've added your family, your extended family, the people you went to school with, the people you have worked with in your career, conferences you've spoken, your social media following. So see what I'm seeing here in the chat. Just everybody take a look at the chat. 400, 200 people, less than 1,000 people, out of 8 billion people. So this slide and the exercise you just did now locates your money. It has located your money. You see, 8 billion people in the world, and then not even up to 5,000 of these people know you or know about you. So I'll get a chance to share with you about a process developed by Ivan Meissner called visibility, credibility, and profitability. If people don't know you, how will they even do business with you? If they don't know about you. So we commonly say in marketing that people do business with those they know, like, and trust. People don't know you. They don't know what you stand for. They don't know your value. They don't know what you can do for them. Because when I did this myself, like I tell you, everything I share with you is a journey I'm on. And this was part of the reason that I'm starting this radio program, because it shocked me, putting everything together. I'm not sure that up to 5 million people know about me. And I'm saying 5 million or maybe 10 million, even 10 million is terribly poor. I could say maybe 10 million. 10 million because of the fact that I've been on television for 5 years. And then television, it was cable. I was on television between 2009 and 2014. And then millions of people used to watch that. But I wouldn't even say that they know me, because most of those people, I passed them on the road and they don't know. I was in the mall, one of these malls the other day. And then we were, like in the cash, what do you call this line, waiting to pay. So, and then I said something. I just said something. And then a lady, was it a lady or a guy, turned and I said, oh, I didn't know. It's the voice. I just got to know you by the voice. So these people don't even know me, like knowing me like somebody who can actually serve them in some capacity. So when you look at the chart, when you look at it, 2,000 people, there's no way up, because all the abundance is hidden in people also. All the abundance is hidden in the problems that people have and in the pain that people have. So 8 billion people, 8 billion pains. How much of this pain are you solving? How much of these problems, 8 billion problems, are you solving? Because if you look at the people who are billionaires, they are billionaires because their product or service touch at least 1 billion people. So that's the billionaire formula at the fundamental, at the base. You want to become a billionaire, you must have value. You must have a product, a service, an innovation, an idea that touches at least 1 billion people. Name all the billionaires you're talking about, you can think about. Name them: Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Richard Branson. They have, like Richard Branson, chains of like about 500 businesses that touch more than 1 billion people every year. So guys, I don't know how much more we can drag this tonight, but you are going to create a visibility plan, for yourself. 2,000 people out of 8 billion people is completely unacceptable. You must get known, okay? You don't light a lamp and put it under your bed. Let your light so shine. Just arise and shine, for your glory has come. Let your light so shine. That thing, 200 people. No, that's not good enough. Okay? I can't stress this enough. Keep this in mind. Abundance has a lot to do with your visibility. It has a lot to do with what problems you solve and then how many people you solve them. So, which takes me to my money pyramid that I talked about yesterday, because I did some thinking, around this, and I'm executing based on these principles. The reason I'm going on radio is I have to think about, how do I serve 1 billion people? How do I serve 3 billion people? Because my target is actually on every single week to reach 3 billion people. Can you imagine what it means that I'm reaching 3 billion people around the world every single day? That's incredible in terms of abundance, in terms of influence, in terms of whatever, that it is. Okay. So now the interesting thing about this pyramid is that it can also be inverted. So 1 can actually become 5 and 5 can become 1. But it all starts from the top instead of from the bottom of the pyramid. Okay. The root of abundance is having a purpose that is higher than money. Put that down in your journal. The root of abundance is having a purpose that is higher than money. Because money limits abundance. It's an oxymoron. So it would appear that abundance is money, but money, actually just focusing on money, limits abundance. But focusing on purpose creates abundance. It creates the money. The money might not necessarily create the purpose, but the purpose will create the money. So it starts with a mission. And then that mission, there are 3 clarity pillars around your mission. 1 is, who are you? Okay. Why are you? That's a typo there. Okay. Why are you here? Who are you? Why are you? Why do you exist? Okay. And then number 3, who are you here to serve? Who were you sent to serve? Christ was very specific. He was sent. And so when the Syrophoenician woman came, he said, no, I know yours is coming, but not now. But my specific mission here is I came to call the sinners to repentance. Okay. So the second part of the money pyramid, you see, you don't actually want to start the money pyramid from the lowest part, which is sales. You need a higher vision, a higher purpose that will automatically drive everything down there, because it is your mission that will drive your audience. Your audience is, who exactly are you serving? Who are you helping? What are these people trying to achieve? Let's say your audience is single mothers, right? So there's so many single mothers in our society today. What are these single mothers trying to achieve? What are they struggling to do? So let's say your audience is seniors, elderly men, grandmothers and grandfathers in our villages, because we don't have, you see, elderly people care, old people's homes in this part of the world. So many times children are out, old parents are in the village, and it's difficult. What problems are they dealing with? How can you solve them? Maybe your audience are women who have suffered domestic violence. What can you do for them? So you've got to determine who your audience is. Maybe your audience, like my own audience, are primarily business owners, entrepreneurs. That's my audience. And it connects to my mission, because my mission is to raise unicorns. Okay, unicorns are private businesses valued at $1 billion and above. To raise African unicorns, who will lead the transformation, the spiritual, the economic, the political, and social transformation of Africa. That's my mission. That's why I'm alive. And any day I'm done with that, I can comfortably go. And it doesn't matter. I can still comfortably go right now as long as I am working on my purpose. It doesn't matter when I go. Okay. I just need to be found occupied, when death meets me. So what obstacles lie in their ways that you can remove? That's the second most important part of business, of money. Then the third thing is, having identified your audience, having identified the problems that they have, the obstacles that they are trying to remove, obstacles to their goals. What is your painkiller? What is your offer? What is the solution you're giving them? One of our Stanford professors, Jamila, I don't know. I think if Jamila is in the call, I think you probably were, I don't know if it was your own set or something, with Professor Jonathan Levav. So he made a very profound statement, one of the days that we were having a session. He said, he asked, is your business a painkiller or a vitamin? The only way I thought recently I could bring that home to you is, ASO has been on strike for more than 5, getting to 6 months now. And then the government doesn't care, really, they don't care, because all their children are schooling abroad. They have absolutely nothing to lose. So they've allowed it to drag. They're not even talking about it. Nobody is resigning. Children are home, just languishing, suffering, and getting disillusioned about the whole educational system. And then they don't care. And then the way it looks right now, we don't even know whether they will ever care. Now, last week, I think sometime last week, they, what do you call them? Type in the chat, the NEPA people, what do you call them? They have this union, the Transmission something Company of Nigeria, okay? So they decide to strike. And then power went, what do you call them? Okay, yes, NEC, all right. So they went on strike, and we saw some videos of them shutting off power in Abuja. They shut off power in many parts of Lagos. And then the whole country, everywhere was dark. Within 24 hours, electricity came back. The same government who haven't addressed ASO, they addressed it immediately. So that's a perfect illustration of painkiller business and then vitamin. You see, if somebody has a terrible pain, has a migraine that is splitting her head, and then you bring something to her and say, for some of you who've had migraine, I've never had it, but the people who have had migraine, they say it's terrible. If you bring a pill and you tell the person it's $1,000, they will do it. But if it is something that, they can't even see the effect, there's no pain and something, they won't react. So that is how your offer, you need to consider about the offer that you're making to your audience. Then the offer is not going to sell itself. So there's going to be a measure of marketing. How are you messaging your target audience? How are you connecting them to the offer? All right. And then finally, on the sales pyramid is sales. Remember that one of the fundamentals of money is that selling is at that intersection between value and and of course the customer. Okay, so selling costs money. If you have an offer, you have an audience, and you have marketing, and you have mission, and you don't complete this pyramid by selling and really being good at selling. Selling is not cheating people. Selling is serving. Selling is not even trying to convince people. Okay, like at the end of this, I'm going to make you some offers, and I'm not going to try to convince you or things like that. So selling is not like forcing people to get something that is not in their best interest. But selling is more like people recognize their need, and then you are there like a consultant to help them solve the problem, for which they are happy to exchange value, for what you've done for them. So bear this money pyramid in mind. You can actually take a snapshot of it or with your phone if you can, because that's really very important and key. Okay, and this is its equivalent. I developed this in 2019, just before the pandemic. And so this is the equivalent of that, for businesses, for entrepreneurs. So at the top, again, is mission. You see, because what drives everything else in your business is the mission. But a lot of people have such diffuse mission statement, they can't even state it. They don't, it's not, that mission statement is not alive, it's not a pillar. But you see, your mission is something that should guide all the operations in your company, something that should guide the kind of people you hire in your company. Your mission is something that should guide your ethics, the way you work, things you will do, things you will not do. All right. But in this case, it actually starts from under. Number one, all the money that a business will ever make is in the customer's pocket wallet. And the business must create experience. So sometime later, I'm going to talk about the experience economy versus the commodities, you know. So commodity business is terrible. Okay. But if you create experiences for the customer, then that's what causes sales. And then sales costs revenue. In fact, the only way that revenue happens in your organization is through sales. I know you might say, okay, in the income statement, you have other income, okay, like income from operations. But those of you who own businesses here, when you look at your income statement, and then you look at other income, it's usually something like 0.000 something, in the revenue. So it's sales that cost revenue. And then it's revenue that comes with a very healthy margin that allows you to have the cash flow, which allows you to achieve the mission, for which your business is set up. And then under the whole thing is people, processes, practices, okay? The structures, the systems. In one word, the leadership, okay? All these things are at the foundation of the leadership. If your leadership is weak, if your leadership is confused, the business will be confused. Everything else on top, is going to be confused, including the customer. There are so many businesses that confuse the hell out of the customers. All right, so let's see whether we can talk about how to increase income within the time that we have left. So for the employee, this is how you can increase income. Of course, the overriding strategy for increasing your income, if you're an employee, is to answer the question, how can you make yourself more valuable to your employer? So if you come in any industry, okay, like the industry I worked in, Shell, Chevron, it is the engineer's world. I tell you sincerely, it's the engineer's world. So in one of those companies, I don't want to mention which one, there was a time that the medical staff in that company, that oil company, they wanted to do strike. Oh, we're not agree, you don't pay us well and all that. Look at, I spent 18 years, I spent 20-something years, becoming a consultant. And then you have these young reservoir engineers coming in, young mechanical petroleum engineers coming in, and you're paying them so much, and you're paying us. Look at, I'm a consultant. Look at the number of years I spent, whatever. That company called them and said, this is not a hospital. This is an exploration and production company. Our core business and our core competencies is production of oil and gas, not messing. And they said, if we hear PIM from you again, we will outsource you. They kept quiet. That was the end of it. So whichever company you are working in, you've got to understand what is the core business, because that is where the value flows. And that's why they pay the engineers far more in an oil company than they typically pay the doctors. That's why they pay in a hospital, that's why they pay consultants or specialists and all that more than they would typically pay the IT person, the computer person, in that place. So you've got to understand what the core competence, what the core skills, core values are, and then play there. But you see, what I have on the screen, if you can see that, and I hope everybody's saying that, is powerful. This was what my mentor in Shell told me, and it changed my life. He said, look, but when you come into any company, any organization, like the ones you work in, you come in as technical. That's your entry. You come in as some professional. Accountant, doctor, like in my own case, GIS, remote sensing surveyor. You come in purely technical. And he said that's where the lowest value is. A lot of people stay in a company and they're just doing those technical things that they keep on doing. do this network computer here, carry this printer, put here, tie this one and all that, travel to that place, troubleshoot, just technical thing. Go here, troubleshoot this branch, and then travel to this other branch. They will give you small protocol and all that, go to this branch, solve their problem and come back. Technical, professional. He said that is the lowest level of value in any organization. And then if you remain there, and if you look at the many organizations, the people who earn the lowest are the people on the technical level. Then he said, there's another level, and that is the business level. So you are not just a technical person in that your small unit, and then you're focusing in that, what they call it, not tunnel. You're in that particular department. Okay, you are in that particular, you're in finance, or you are in IT, or you are in HR, and you are just in those particular, what do they call it? Not verticals. Okay, but you understand what I mean? Those particular departments. That's technical. But when you begin to understand how the business works, that's a different level altogether. So you are not just an IT person, but you actually understand how your business, how your company makes money, the business processes, the systems and things like that. And then you begin to work with inter departments. And so wherever you are working, ladies and gentlemen, don't just remain in one department. Seek opportunities to connect with all that departments, all that units. Seek it. Nobody will give it to you if it doesn't exist. They call it cross-departmental, whatever, projects. Look for such things, So you might be in the IT. Find opportunities to work with finance. You might be in HR. Find opportunity to work with operations. You might actually be in production. Find opportunity to actually interact with sales. Okay? Yes, cross-functional knowledge. Excellent. OC, thank you. OC is in MTN, so he knows what I'm talking about. So cross-functional knowledge. Okay? So when you become a cross-functional person, you become more valuable. That's more money. But you see where the core of the whole thing lies, because that's why you see in one company, they will pay the CEO $20 million in the year, $40 million in the year. The same company where you're earning 60,000 in the year with a lot of, whatever. Why? Because leadership, is everything. The value of a company rises or falls on the shoulders of leadership. So you want to grow yourself, not just in the technical. Some of you might just be in the technical. Find ways to grow yourself into understanding the business. Find ways to grow yourself into leadership, into working, into coordinating, volunteer, do things. Don't wait to be told. Okay. Can I have your permission to take another 5 minutes? Please type yes in the chat if I have your permission to take another 5 minutes to talk about how startups can increase. All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So now, if you're a startup, thank you. Okay. Take 10. Okay. I'll take 10 because not just one person didn't say that. Take 10. All right. Thanks for that permission, Kenneth. Now, suppose you're a startup. I don't work with startups, a lot, okay? But I've worked with some startups. I work mostly with established businesses. But as a startup, your very first step is your first sale. So people come with business ideas. Okay, they have this idea, they have whatever. So somebody, started, he quit his company. It's actually a top person in that company. And then he started his, consulting firm. And then he was like tips and all that and all that. I said, look, the only tip, there's nothing like tip. The only tip is get your first sales, get your first client. So if you are a startup or you're about to start a business, your first goal is to make your first sale. Leave everything else. You see, because that first sale, if anybody here, if you can remember your first sale, just type in the chat how it felt. when that, it didn't even matter how much, but the first sale, that first client, the kind of energy, the emotion, the excitement that it gives you, the emotional energy, especially because, you've thought this thing through, you've labored, whatever, is ecstatic. That's the word. That first income, that first thing, just comes, that first sale. So do everything possible as a startup to get your first sale. What is the number 2 step? Number 2 step, get your next sale. Figure out how to make your very next sale. Number 3, startup, this is success model. Number 3, figure out a way to make the sales predictable. And then some of us, even established business, is still the same thing, okay? Figure out a way to make your sales predictable, and then start creating systems and processes to generate more sales on demand. This is not just for startups, it's also for established businesses. And then finally, develop the team and then the infrastructure to make consistent sales when sales actually come on autopilot. I have seen some ads that have been running for 25 years because that ad continues to sell. People run it for 25 years, in food and beverage, in cosmetics and all that. So when you figure out something like that, that money machine, that ad, that thing you put out there, and then you just turn on the tap and then money flows. So all of us should be on this journey. Finally, for businesses, how to increase your income, there are 4 levers. There are only 4 things you need to worry about, as a business to increase. This is also my journey. This is also my journey. Tomorrow I'm going to share with you, because the very first one is having an ideal client. That is number 1. You must have the right market who have the willingness and then the capacity to pay. That ideal client, that's ready to buy, that has a specific problem that you uniquely solve. That is number 1, because all the money is built on the ideal client. The second thing is that you must put out an irresistible offer constantly, because no offer, no money. No offer, no money. The third thing is that you must have a way, and I have a coaching program to talk about value, because so many of my clients, there's actually one that we're going to be working with next week, they have incredible value. They have incredible value. I work with a school in Port Harcourt, incredible, large place, large facility, modern, beautiful. They spend money there. But the enrollment was just about 40%, 30 or 40%. So much capacity not being used, so much value that is not being captured. And then the reason the school is not enrolling any school at all, because it's a problem with many schools, private schools in Nigeria. They're not filling up the enrollment. But there are other schools that you even have, there's one, in not very far away here in Ikoyi, where people have to wait like 2-3 years in advance to put their children there. In fact, I think I recall that it is when you are about to have your baby that you actually register. Why is that school so successful? And yet there are other schools that can take like 2,000 people, and then they hardly have up to 200. It's because of what you're seeing here. So if you're in that kind of situation, and then your business is not running up to capacity, look at the ideal client, look at the offers you're making up, putting out there, look at the kind of messaging you're giving to the marketplace. So in one of my lectures in Lagos Business School, I did a mini case study of Dangote noodles. I was teaching the MBA students, and then I was telling them, the importance of understanding what the market is saying about you, controlling your messaging and not letting the market control it. Somebody went on Naira Land in 2006 and complained about Dangote noodle. And then there were all kinds of things. I brought out all those things and put in a mini case of all the complaints, how people were comparing it and calling it useless and all that and all that. And then this went on. I gave this lecture, I believe it was in 2019 or 2018. And 2019 or thereabout, that very year that Dangote noodle, collapsed. So, and it was bought over by the makers of Indomie. And for between 2006 and 2019, how many years? For 13 years, people were still talking about this thing. Not once did anybody from Dangote Noodles enter that conversation. Not once did they even listen to what the customers were saying. Because some of them were saying that, oh, just put it in water and then the thing melts and become, there are all kinds of things people were talking about there. Not once did that company. So, and it was just barely 2 weeks after I gave that lecture in Lagos Business School, Dangote Noodle collapsed, it failed, and then somebody else bought them. Clear messaging is important. And then finally, a reliable source of traffic. What's going to be bringing leads into your company? What's going to make customers, prospects walking through the door? You must have this system before you can grow. So if your income is not growing in your business, it is in one of these levers. One of these levers needs to be, or a combination of them need to be refined. All right, so this is where we're going to end today. And I want to thank you for being generous to give me 5 extra minutes. Has today been helpful? Type in the chat. On a scale of 1 to 10, how helpful has it been today? Scale of 1 to 10. Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Great. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I see 11 there and I see 15. Awesome. Amazing. All right, so tomorrow we're going to take it a little bit further by delving into the mechanics of generating profitable ideas. Now, this is not just for people who are starting up their ideas, their business, but it's also for established businesses. Okay, so in a short while, today's reflection will be posted on Instagram, and then within 24 hours, the replay of what you've done today would also be pasted there. So take advantage of that. And then please feel free to ask your questions and make your comments. We're not using the Telegram well enough. Feel free to do that. And yeah, and then I'll peep into that place a couple of times and then answer some of the questions that you have. But for now, thank you for spending this time with me, and keep showing up, because you have no idea what's coming your way next. And I'll see you at tomorrow's challenge. Good night, everybody.